Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, where we continue our search to find out the effects of communication on gaming. In today's episode, we will take a look onto what others have thought about this question. I will present you guys with three sources, each with a unique point of view, and afterwards I will give my opinion on it. I will provide a short summary of each source to keep this video relatively short. Our first source comes from Suzanne Pollock, President of Games for Change, and Stanley Pierre-Louis, President and CEO of Entertainment Software Association, authors of Video Games Are Transforming How We Communicate with Each Other, and They Could Fix a Range of Other Global Issues Too. In this article, the authors had three key points. First is about the ability of video games to bring people who have nothing in common together. Second is about the things video games and companies have done to make games an equalizer for people with varying physical abilities. And lastly, the article talks about the importance to use video games as a medium for social change. What do I think? I think Suzanne Pollock and Stanley Pierre-Louis are completely correct. From my personal experience, it is very easy to see how diverse a game full of players can be. I have also seen how Xbox has a setting tab dedicated to accommodating people with different needs. And lastly, I agree with the last point the most. I have seen the many ways video games have been used to help others. One way is like how gamers like PewDiePie and MatPat, to name a few, have utilized their popularity to do charity streams and help people in need. Our second source is a research paper titled The Impact of Social Media on Video Game Communities and the Gaming Industry by Dr. Boris Bankov. This paper has two main parts. First is the evolution of the gaming industry. Dr. Bankov states that the popularity of video games has risen to the point that one-third of the global population has played a video game more than once in the past 5 years. Dr. Bankov shows how gaming studios have changed the way they make their money, going from a one-time purchase to monthly subscriptions and microtransactions. He also shows how the rise of competitive esports has made record-breaking revenue and an increase in tournament pool prizes. The second part ties into our question quite nicely, which is the impact of social media on video games. Dr. Bankov noted that social media is one of the key factors in a game's success, since more discussion about the game means it reaches more people. He also talks about how the change from single-player games to multiplayer ones required the need for communication between players. This is where software programs like Discord became popular. Dr. Bankov also talks about how Twitch, a platform for video game coverage and discussion, took off. With Twitch, people were able to stream as a part-time and full-time job. Streaming also let small game studios to be able to promote their products. Now, what do I think? I think that Dr. Boris Bankov is right. Now more than ever before, video games have become insanely popular. This is largely due to content creators on platforms like YouTube and Twitch that are able to produce amazing content with the help of popular video games. Secondly, I have noticed that the demand for new consoles has skyrocketed, which is largely due to the increase of gamers due to the pandemic. And lastly, I have seen how the audience from platforms like Discord, YouTube, and Twitch have grown, as well as the amount of content creators. The last source is a recent paper that talks about how the pandemic has affected people in Italy. This is written by multiple researchers whose names I will put on the screen now. The title for their paper is Together Apart: The Mitigating Role of Digital Communication Technologies on Negative Effects During the COVID-19 Outbreak in Italy. This paper focuses on the negative psychological effects of forced social isolation and the ways it could be reduced. The researchers conducted a study to verify if the amount of digital communication during the lockdown could reduce its negative psychological effects. The research team conducted an online survey of the people in quarantine in Italy. The questions were related to the following: the participants' frequency of using tools to stay connected, their emotional state during the lockdown, and the number of times they left their house. Here were the results. During the lockdown, participants reported an increased use in digital communication technologies. This increase during lockdown was positively associated with perceived social support and with perceived feeling of belonging. A decreased use in digital communication technologies was associated with feeling of loneliness, boredom, anger, and irritability. Now, what do I think? I agree with the authors. Communication with others, even if it's only digitally, definitely helped me feel connected with my friends and family during this pandemic. I noticed that people close to me showed increased signs of boredom and loneliness during the start of the pandemic, but those signs faded when they increased their time interacting with others by playing video games. In conclusion, video games and communication are deeply intertwined. Not only has the growth of the gaming industry helped us connect with diverse people from around the world, especially during these tough times, but it is also a way to help others. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to follow me on my research journey.